Good morning. It's Wednesday morning, and today we read from Galatians 6 through 10. Let the one who is taught the word share all good things with the one who teaches. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption. But the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, especially to those who are of the household of faith. So what is he saying here? Do not grow weary in well-doing. Do not grow weary in doing good things for people. Sometimes good things for people are not what people say they want. There's that. Sometimes people want, money or help. Think of a drug addict. All they want is their next fix. So they want to get the drugs. And if you say, well, that's not good for you. I don't want to give you drugs. I want to give you meaningful help, counseling, doctor visits, therapy, something different. They don't want to hear that. They want the drug. So what are you going to do? Well, you've got to make your decisions and your choices based on the realities of the particular situation that you're faced with. And they're all different. So don't grow weary in doing good. That has a variety of interpretations as you get into the woods, the nitty-gritty of your actual life and the situations presented to you. But he says the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. So if you're doing what the Spirit is leading you to do, you're going to go in the right direction. You're going to get eternal life. So as we have opportunity, he said, let's do good to everyone, and especially to those in the household of faith. I've always had a tendency to be pretty giving to people who came, for help. Now, if they lie to me, forget it. You're done. And sometimes they're lying, and you can kind of tell they're lying, but you can't catch them in it. And sometimes, you don't know. But I always figure, why not err on the side of being generous than on the side of being the police, the policeman? Why not give to people? And if they use the church or they're using it, so what? I mean, really, the church will survive. And if they're doing things that are not helpful to themselves or anybody else, then maybe it's time to call them out on it. But in general, you know these things. And boy, the examples are coming to mind so fast I can't even keep them straight. There was a woman who came in one time and she had all kinds of troubles and problems. And her husband had died and she was a widow and she needed all this money and blah, 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 blah. And I was pretty sympathetic to her over the objections of some of the church staff until a fellow stopped in one morning and said, that woman is lying. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, I dated her for a while. She's a terrible liar. She makes all this stuff up. Half of it's not true, and the other half I don't think you should be giving her help at all, much less the level of help that we've been giving her. So I gently and slowly cut her off. Another woman came in. The stories just go on and on and on. The story that gets me is the woman that came in one time and she said, the only person who knew where I keep my money is my boyfriend. And we had a big fight. He grabbed, he left. And he said he was never coming back. And a few days later, somebody came in my house, took his clothes and my rent money. And he's the only one who knew where I kept that rent money. So I know it was him, but I can't prove it. He stole his clothes, he stole the rent money, and now I don't have the rent. And I said, oh, okay, when's your rent due? Thinking she's going to say, today at 5 and it's about 3:30. Or she's going to say tomorrow at 5 and we can give us one day. She said, oh, next month. I said, next month? And you're in here today asking for help? And she goes, well, yeah, because this just happened. I know I'm going to need the help. And I said, honey, I am going to pay your whole rent because you are the only person who's ever come in here, not waited until the day that the sheriff is, standing at the door with the dogs to evict you, to think about getting some money together. So I did, I paid her rent and she went out rejoicing. And so, okay, that's great. Some years later, I'm back at that church for some kind of a thing, and they're having a picnic. We're having the church picnic, and I'm sitting down, and this woman sits down across from me, and she looks at me, and she goes, you don't remember me, do you? And I looked at her, and I said, you look familiar, but I really don't. And she said, you paid my rent one time. And she told me that story, and I said, I do remember you. You're the only one who ever had the foresight to work ahead. And she said, you were so good to me that I joined this church, and now I'm a deacon. And, so good things can come from doing good. And I'm not trying to blow my own horn. It's just a story that I'm familiar with. You probably have stories that you're familiar with. And for every one of those stories, there's 15 stories of somebody who ripped us off and took off and, treated us badly. But you gotta trust people sometimes, and if you do, sometimes good things happen. So I hope that in your day today, good things happen to you, for you, with you, in your business, in your personal life, in whatever you're doing today. And I will see you tomorrow as we wind up Galatians.